Hey all, this is Nethergrass, and I'm going to be showing you my take on the Super Smelter. It's actually a double Super Smelter, you might notice. It can smelt 128 items in the time it takes for one furnace to smelt one item. So pretty efficient, takes less than a minute to get all of the items into this chest here. It's got a lot of extra features that you don't necessarily need, but are nice to have. For instance, you've got an automatic fueling system that'll fuel all of your furnaces just by putting fuel in this chest. You've got your output chest, your input chest, which automatically splits it into the two different sides. And of course, you've got your output chest. Everything just comes right back here. And the nice thing about this farm is that you can actually build it to be flush with the floor and wall. So if you have it just in a wall here, you don't have to worry or cover anything up, sacrifice anything about your build. You can just straight up put it into the wall. The dimensions of this thing are 13 by 46 by 12, and these three are highlighted red because they'll actually be underground. Just wanted to show you that in case you start building the thing and realized, oh no, I need some space underneath here for all this extra stuff. Don't worry, I got you. But if you follow the block by block tutorial, obviously you'll know that to begin with. I should have a world download in the description, but if I don't, sorry. I couldn't be bothered. The first step to building this machine is to create the input system, and of course that starts with our input chest, and this will be the absolute center of the build, these two blocks. So if you're planning on centering your build somewhere, it has to be around these two blocks. If you have an odd numbered build, sorry, I can't do anything for you. It's 2 blocks wide. The next thing you want to do is set up your hoppers. So there will be 4 hoppers going back like this, and this last one will actually be facing outwards to go into a dispenser. By the way, a lot of this build is perfectly symmetrical, so there are going to be some segments where I just say, and then do it on the other side. These dispensers are going to be shooting blocks out into a water stream. We won't set that up quite yet, but I'll leave the outline here so you know where to place stuff later. The next thing we need to do is hook up a redstone clock to our dispensers, and if you don't mind a bit of noise, this can actually be simplified by a lot. If you just have 2 observers facing each other, they will constantly emit a redstone signal to this dispenser. But of course, the issue being that this sound will never stop. So the solution is to only activate the observers whenever there are items in these hoppers. All this system does is detect whenever there are items in these hoppers and emit a redstone signal into these pistons, which will then push these observers into place, and they will emit a redstone signal back to our dispensers. So these dispensers are both facing away from each other, and these 2 on the outside are facing toward each other. Then all you need to do is connect the whole thing up with redstone, leaving this last one as a repeater so it doesn't go into the comparator, and the whole thing is functioning. So you'll see if I put a stack of iron in this chest, it'll dispense an even amount on either side, and then whenever it's done dispensing them all, it'll turn itself off. The next thing you want to do is build our water stream to be 9 blocks tall. Next, mine out both of these glass blocks that are facing away from your input chest and build out 5 ice blocks. Just in case the whole thing, because this is all just going to be one big waterway, you're going to want to build the glass part out 1 more because there's going to be a hopper here leading into everything else. Next, add in a hopper facing straight downwards and cap off the end of your tube. And of course, as with any water stream, you're going to want to put a soul sand at the bottom and fill the whole thing up with water. The next thing you're going to want to do is add a chest 1 block down and 1 in front of this hopper, and then place another hopper leading directly into it. Then with a building block of your choice, build a small little L kind of like this. Now you want to come down 1 more block and make a 2 by 2 area with a block of your choice. And now we've reached the actual smelter part of the Super Smelter. Are you excited? This part's a little tricky if you're not sure what's going on. What you need to do is knock out the top 2 blocks here. It'll be the top part of your L and the hopper. And you need to create 2 rails going side by side like this. You need to have a powered rail here, and then you can break these 2. The problem is if you update this rail by placing a rail here or deleting a rail next to it, that'll actually reset their state. Okay, deleting one will not, but placing a rail next to it will update it and it will become flat like that, but you need it to be at an angle. So make sure you place this one first. And then of course build everything the way you had it back before. The next thing you want to do is go 2 blocks down and build 32 blocks out. Now this is all just going to be scaffolding material, so this will be something you remove afterwards, but it's just to make the placing of these furnaces easier. So now that these scaffolding blocks are down, you can pretty easily place your furnaces without having to hold shift on them. Now that will of course become a problem in just a minute, but it's not something we have to deal with right now. I should mention that's 32 blocks starting from here, not right here. This part's easy, but it's a bit tedious. Now you have to go on each furnace and place a hopper going straight down into the furnace on every single furnace here. Similarly, now you just go on the side of the furnaces and add a hopper on either side. This is what it should look like when you're done. I'll let you know when you don't have to repeat something on the other side because a lot more stuff is symmetrical than isn't. Now, on top of every one of these hoppers, you're going to want to make a line of powered rail that includes these lower hoppers here. That'll be for our refueling system, but the rest of that we'll get to in a little bit. After you reach the end of your upper track line, you're going to want to put some bumper blocks right here at the end. That way, whenever your minecart hits it, it'll bounce off it and go all the way back to your refilling station. Starting on your top rail, count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rails. And right off to the side here, place a redstone block and then a lamp on either side of the block. That's just to keep mobs from spawning on it. It's not that big a deal if you use something else. And then you can do the same thing from the end of the track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that'll both power the track entirely and give you decent light sources to light up the track. Next, place a fence in front of each chest. And a block away from each of the fences, have a sticky piston facing them. So basically like this, you've got this one with a block in between, this one with a block in between, nudged right up against the other one with a block in between and a block in between. Now this next step isn't actually going to be symmetrical, so you're going to want to go to the right hand side of your machine, assuming you're looking at it from the front of your input chest. You're going to make a little L. From that L, you're going to have a redstone comparator going into a block, and from this bottom block, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this whole way, you're going to have active redstone repeaters set to their max timers. They're going to go into a block here, which goes into a redstone torch. Redstone torch will in turn come up here. That should not actually be on. I accidentally placed a hopper minecart, so place a redstone dust here, and then you have a redstone repeater with 1 notch in it, one with full timers, and then everything else from here on is just going to be no ticks on them. So you place a block here, redstone dust, and this whole way you're going to go all the way across to the other sticky piston. You're going to use redstone repeaters the whole way across, but above each of the pistons you're going to want to use redstone dust. So we've got this all the way over here. Now, what this means is that whenever we have a hopper minecart here and it detects that there are items inside, it'll wait till it gets a full stack, and then it'll send a signal to everybody to go. So it'll place 1 item in every single hopper. Now, if you know anything about redstone, you'll know that this is just detecting this hopper minecart to control this whole thing. I did that for the sake of compactability, and that shouldn't matter too much, assuming you're putting everything in through this input chest, because it evenly distributes it between each side here, and then the hoppers will automatically evenly distribute them between the 2 hopper minecarts. So it shouldn't be a big deal, and if you're worried about fuel efficiency, you should not be using this farm anyway. It's not fuel efficient. I'm sorry. Now that we've confirmed that our loading system is fully operational, we can move on to our unloading system. So all you need to do is go a couple blocks down, and we'll start building our blocks underneath. This is basically just going to line up with every single furnace here. So just place a block 2 blocks down underneath all the furnaces, and keeping them in line with the redstone blocks you have on the top layer, place them in here like so. Now go 2 out from both sides of the furnace and build a power rail line going all the way to the end. You'll notice that this last powered rail is not powered, and that's what we want. Leave it alone. Next, add on some hoppers that are facing straight down just like so, and add more powered rails on top of them. Next, place some chests underneath those hoppers, and this part isn't actually going to be symmetrical. You're going to want to have your hoppers going out this way, all the way from one to the other, just like that. This next piece will actually be symmetrical, so keep that in mind. Just build a funky little shape that looks like this. It's a bit weird, I'm aware. Put 2 redstone torches here, comparators going out into those redstone torches. You have blocks right above those, and then you have repeaters going back into your powered rails. Now, what this will do is these detect whenever there are items in this hopper. So as long as the minecarts that are going to be down here are unloading your already smelted items, it will output a signal, it'll turn off the rails, and they won't be able to go anywhere, so they can drain entirely. And here it is built up on both sides. Like I said before, it's symmetrical. Please remember that, please. You can place in these hopper minecarts whenever you want. They're not really that important, but just remember to do so before you turn the whole thing on, otherwise you're not going to get anything out of it. So partway into the tutorial, I figured out a more compact way to make this work. I don't know why I didn't do this before. It's kind of a no-brainer solution. All you gotta do is snake the hoppers around like this and hook them up to your hopper line, and this will automatically deposit everything in your output chest, which will be 1 block away from this. I had a whole water stream set up with this thing before. I don't know why I did that. This is the exact same efficiency. I don't know why I didn't do that before. That was really stupid of me. Anyway, this makes it just a little bit more compact and a little easier to build. So now with everything we built, this is actually a fully functioning super smelter. You can put anything you want in here that can actually be smelted. It'll go into all these furnaces and it'll come out the other side, all smelted. But of course, it needs fuel. And so we've got an automatic fueling system because you don't want to have to go through and constantly be filling these up by hand. That would suck. So instead, we're going to set up our automatic fueling system. So we'll have our fuel chest right here. The next thing we need to do is hook up our lower rail system from before. Now, of course, nothing's hooked up, but if we add in our iron blocks, grab a couple of redstone blocks, set them in right here. Don't know why that happened. If we have rails, it'll be snaking around this way because our actual output chest is over here. It'll snake around through here, go down around this way. So these two need to connect like so. It'll snake around all the way down over here. Same situation as with the other side. And as with the other setups, it'll come out through here, bounce off of this block that we placed there earlier, and it'll go all the way back into our setup, which we will build down here. So what you need to do is build a 3 down sort of staircase like this. And then we'll hook that up with this staircase we've got coming down from up here. And you just keep building it all the way down until the two connect. Then you gotta add this little hump because we gotta do some weirdness to actually make this work. So we start up from the chest. We have a detector rail, a powered rail. Then we have this weirdness going on here. And we need to do the same thing that we did before with the chests up top. And so we've got it kind of going into the chest like that. Again, don't update this, don't change this. Otherwise, that thing's going to flatten out, and you don't want that to happen. So now we just hook up everything else with our powered rails. Put in a redstone block so the thing actually works. So this is the part where the build gets a bit scuffed. Please forgive me for this and bear with me. So what you need to do is have a redstone comparator and a redstone repeater going into this block here. You need to replace this with an actual solid block because redstone signals don't travel through glass. And then we need to have a block here with a redstone on top. And then again, extremely scuffed. We have it going up here with a block blocking it so it does not connect to this redstone here. Then from there, you need to take a snaky to the left, which goes into a block, going into a redstone torch with a line of repeaters coming this way, with a line of 6 repeaters, all set to maximum length. Then they all go into a redstone. Then those come around to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 redstone repeaters, also all set to maximum tickage. At the end of your repeater line, you have a funky little left turn with your redstone on top. You have a sticky piston, and coming off that sticky piston is a fence. You'll notice this is a very similar setup up top. It's essentially the same component. So if we put a hopper minecart right here, it sits at kind of a weird angle and you'll be able to see it through the floor, but to me that's a minor nitpick. Okay, so if we fill up this chest with coal, I believe it will take around 2 stacks at once. So now I should fill up with around 2 stacks. There we go, a little over 2 stacks. So that'll fill everything with at least once every time it goes through. And so now you'll notice all of the sand is actually getting smelted. And so we should start to see some come out into this chest here. There you go. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much everything. This took about an hour and a half to record. Obviously cut down, this video should be a lot shorter. I've had a lot of flub lines, a lot of things that I did incorrectly when I was trying to rebuild this thing. But I think it's a pretty cool thing. It's a lot more compact than I even had it in that design. So, you know, I hope you're happy with that. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure to leave a like. That's actually the back of my head. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this machine, and I hope it gives you a lot of use in your survival world. Peace out.